Chris here with Root Healthy Plants. What a great season we had last year. I have so much planned for this upcoming growing season. My garden is still sleeping, but the compost is constantly being made all year round. So I know you're probably wondering what I have going on here. And this is just a ton of compost that I've collected because one, I'm a little bit lazy in the winter with going outside and dumping the fresh compost in the compost bin. But two, these bigger buckets, which are in food safe containers, they've been frozen. So I tried to come out here and dump my compost a couple times in these 5-gallon buckets and nothing came out. So I had to wait till a day that the temperature was high enough that this is not going to stick in the bucket and I can come out here and turn my compost. If you watched one of the videos when I posted it before where I had a squash that had another vine coming out the side, and this is one of the weird squash, it grew weird. I did something that was unfortunate and I kept this too close to my heater and it's getting soft in certain spots and it's starting to shrivel up. It's not going to be a complete loss because the nutrients from this rotting squash, it's going to come full circle. The nutrients from the squash are going to go into the ground and it's going to give nutrients to the plants that I plant there that we're going to eat. So I'm not mad. It's not a complete loss, but I'm also going to take out a ton of seeds out of here. I actually want to cut this squash open first, extract the seeds, and then add everything into the compost bin. So let's take a look. Yeah, so we're busting this thing open. Let's take a look inside. Here we go. So we got a bunch of seeds in there. So it's not going to be a complete loss. We're going to fish out a ton of these seeds right here. And we're going to grow a ton more squash with these seeds. So it's never a complete loss. I didn't bring anything out here to collect these seeds in. So let's figure this out. I want to take off one of these tops off of these. So I'll explain what's going on here. So these two 5-gallon bins I keep on my porch outside my door so they can collect the bulk of the compost. Inside my house, I use these used coffee containers to collect daily compost. So whenever I'm cutting up a squash or chopping up some lettuce, whatever it is, everything goes in these and then gets poured into these. And then once these fill up, then I come out and put them in my bigger compost bin. So it may seem like a process, but it's convenient. So if this is a good idea and a process for you, you know, because I have a long-term compost bin, which I'm not worried about coming out here turning it every day. So it'll slowly break down. This is out here through the winter. This is out here all year round. And then I have my faster compost bins where I'm breaking things down like every 30 days and I'm constantly turning it maybe daily or every couple days. Right? So I'm going to take the lid from one of these coffee containers right here and I'm going to put my seeds in here and I'm going to bring them in the house to clean them off, and I'm going to intentionally put certain seeds certain places so that I get a bunch of squash. But I do have a ton of squash and just seeds that are going into this compost bin. Wherever nature wants things to grow, those seeds that are in the compost bin are going to grow. So I'll let nature do what it does, and where it's optimal for nature to seed things or germinate things, let nature take its course. I love my volunteers. I love them. I actually got the most pounds of food last year grown from volunteers, things that I did not intentionally plant. Again, I repeat, I got the most amount of pounds in food from volunteers, things that I did not plant intentionally, just from putting seeds in my compost bins. Now I got more peppers in quantity from things that I intentionally planted, but pounds in food that I'm constantly able to eat and my family's been eating throughout the winter, which is winter squash, I got the most pounds in volunteer plants. That says a lot. For the people that overthink getting started in gardening, I say just get started with compost. because you can compost all your food scraps, where you're decreasing the amount of waste that you're sending to landfills, and then just putting your food scraps in your backyard or wherever you choose to put your compost bin, and just giving it back to your yard, giving it back to Mother Nature, and Mother Nature will give back to you. So it just comes full circle. Do the right thing and the blessings come back. So I just want to add that little part in there. So let me take these seeds out. So I did a squash before, and I actually counted all the seeds. I'm not going to count them today. I'm not going to be that tedious. I got other things to do. But I did count the seeds that came out of a squash before, and I had 120 seeds that I got from one squash. Imagine, even if you only had half of that germinate, 50 squash plants from one squash. So that means you'll get at least one squash from each of those seeds, and we're only counting half. So only half germinate, you got 50 squash. Now each squash will produce more than one, each squash plant will produce more than one squash, but let's just account for the low end. Imagine getting 50 squash just from one squash fruit or vegetable. It's called fruiting. It fruits when it's producing, but it's a vegetable. But imagine, look at that ratio, 50 squash from one squash. Those are amazing numbers. Now I counted 120, so I expect to get a lot more than that, but those are amazing numbers, and you can't argue with that. You got to get started. It's a no-brainer. I don't want to hear the excuses. All you got to do is compost, and then throw the compost down on your backyard and forget about it. You know, I mean, granted, you want to have it protected from the animals, because the animals are your worst enemy, but the compost is going to help reinvigorate your soil. So if you have sandy soil, add the organic matter. If you have clay soil, just add the organic matter. I'm not saying it's the fix to everything, but add that organic matter to your backyard and you'll get some production. So I'm gonna take all these seeds out. I got pretty much what I wanted. And then, and I probably could have saved some of this, but some of it's soft. I'm just gonna add it into the compost. It's all good. I'm gonna break it up a little bit so it breaks down a little bit quicker. Not too much, but I'll break it up some. It's all good. I won't do that next year. I will definitely make sure I keep my fruit and vegetables away from my heater. So that's a lesson learned. Nobody knows, but that's a lesson that I can pass on so that nobody else does what I did. Keep these far away from your heater. You want to keep these in a cool, dry place. All right. There we go. And these are all the seeds that I'm going to take in the house. Like I said, I counted 120 the last time I did this. That's a ton of seeds right there, just from one squash. This is a no-brainer. Get started gardening. Now I'm gonna adjust the camera so you can see into my compost bin while I'm doing it. All right, here we go. Got some squash going in. Got a ton more other things. It might look nasty, but so as you can see, we have the outsides of the plantain. We got some lemon here, squash, orange peels, apples that my kids didn't finish. A bunch more stuff. Let's add all that stuff in there. It may look nasty, but these are all rich nutrients that's going to give back to your soil and eventually give those nutrients to the plants that you're going to eat. So if you got coffee grinds, add all that in there. If it comes from nature, give it back to the soil. Give it back to nature. So we got like the onion peels, all that stuff. All that stuff is good. Great nutrients. You got any, this was romaine lettuce. You know, whatever scraps you don't use, throw it in your compost. All that stuff, that's good nutrients. It's all good. So I'm gonna finish this off. I just don't want this stuff just sitting on top. That's my only thing. But keep composting. You see, this bin is almost full. There's hundreds of pounds of compost in here that I can't wait to put in my garden, in my rows, wherever I'm going to be growing at. I can't wait. We got so much to do this year. I'm trying to expand my operation. And now it's time to add some leaves to the top of this. So I'm going to cover this up so that the animals don't get too tempted to want to dig in here. When the weather gets nice, I'm going to mix these leaves up with it to help everything break down quicker. But by the time I mix all that stuff up, I'm going to have more compost to add in here. And then I'm going to reassess. And depends on how quickly I need that compost, whether I'm going to add more wood chips versus something that breaks down quicker like leaves. So I'm going to add in another scoop of leaves, bury that pretty good, and then we're done. Yeah, so this is good right now. This compost is full. That bin is good to go. By the time spring comes, early spring, really like late winter, early spring, I add my compost into the ground where I'm going to be growing at, and it's just going to work out beautifully. I got so many seeds in there. Yeah, I just can't wait to see what volunteers pop up. Looking to experiment with just a specific area that I'm going to dedicate, where I'm not going to plant anything intentionally, and I'm just going to see what pops up just from volunteers. And I'm going to call it a volunteer garden. Easy, lazy volunteer garden. Just compost and dump. Dump your compost. Let's see what it does. Free food. It's a no-brainer. I don't know. It's hard to argue that you can't do this. You can't garden. It's hard to argue. Oh, it's too hard. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to. Throw your food scraps in your yard. You know, you could dump it. You could throw your food scraps directly on the ground, in the ground. Just kick some dirt on it. Like it's not that difficult. Like, I choose to do it this way, but you can do it any way you want. You can be more lazy and just come out here. All right, you got a banana peel. All right, kick some dirt, throw your banana peel down, and then cover it up. Call it a day. I don't care. You could be real lazy and still be adding nutrients to your soil, value to your yard. I appreciate y'all for watching. I look forward to this upcoming growing season. And comment if you have anything to say about my methods, or you have anything to add, you gain something from this video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Root Healthy Plants.